Hello, and thank you for joining me as we work through St Matthew's St Matthew's Gospel from the Word on Fire Bible, with commentary from Bishop Robert Barron, who is the founder on the Word on Fire Catholic Ministries. This Catholic Bible is a beautiful book, and strongly recommend that you explore the option of buying this Bible. Today we're working through chapter 8 with some commentary from Bishop Barron and others. When Jesus had come down from the mountain, great crowds followed him, and there was a leper who came to him and knelt before him, saying, "Lord, if you choose, you can make me clean." He stretched out his hand and touched him, saying, "I do choose, be made clean." Immediately his leprosy was cleansed. Then Jesus said to him, "See that you say nothing to anyone, but go show yourself to the priest and offer the gift that Moses commanded as a testimony to them." When he entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him, appealing to him and saying, "Lord, my servant is lying at home paralyzed in terrible distress." And he said to him, "I will come and cure him." The centurion answered, "Lord, I am not worthy to have you come under my roof, but only speak the word, and my servant will be healed. For I am also a man under authority, with soldiers under me. And I say to one, 'Go,' and he goes, and to another, 'Come,' and he comes, and to my slave, 'Do this,' and the slave does it." When Jesus heard this, he was amazed, and said to those who followed him, "Truly I tell you, in no one in Israel have I found such faith. I tell you, many will come from east and west and will eat with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven, while the heirs of the kingdom will be thrown into the outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." And to the centurion Jesus said, "Go, let it be done for you according to your faith." And the servant was healed in that hour. When Jesus entered Peter's house, he saw his mother-in-law lying in bed with a fever. He touched her hand, and the fever left her, and she got up and began to serve him. That evening they brought to him many who were possessed with demons, and he cast out the spirits with a word and cured all who were sick. This was to fulfill what had been spoken through the prophet Isaiah: "He took our infirmities and bore our diseases." Now when Jesus saw great crowds around him, he gave orders to go over to the other side. A scribe then approached and said, "Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go." Jesus said to him, "Foxes have holes, and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head." Another of his disciples said to him, "Lord, first let me go and bury my father." But Jesus said to him, "Follow me, and let the dead bury their own dead." When he got into the boat, his disciples followed him. A windstorm arose on the sea, so great that the boat was being swamped by the waves. But he was asleep. When they went and woke him up, saying, "Lord, save us, we are perishing," he said to them, "Why are you afraid, you of little faith?" Then he got up and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a dead calm. They were amazed, saying, "What sort of man is this, that even the winds and the sea obey him?" When he came to the other side, to the country of Gadarenes, two demoniacs coming out of the tombs met him. They were so fierce that no one could pass that way. Suddenly they shouted, "What have you to do with us, Son of God? Have you come here to torment us before the time?" A large herd of swine was feeding at some distance from them. The demons begged him, "If you cast us out, send us into the herd of swine." He said to them, "Go." So they came out and entered the swine. Suddenly the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the sea and perished in the water. The swine herds ran off, and on going into the town, they told the whole story about what had happened to the demoniacs. Then the whole town came out to meet Jesus. When they saw him, they begged him to leave their neighborhood. St. Thomas Aquinas writes in relation to verses 1 to 4, when curing, Christ does three things. He stretches out his hand when he gives help. Sometimes he stretches out his hand but does not touch. Sometimes he touches, and this is when he produces a change. But why does he touch the leper, since this was forbidden in the law? He did it to show that he is above the law. One who touches seems to break the law, but in fact, he did not break it, because it was forbidden on account of contagion. Therefore, because he could not be infected, he could touch. Furthermore, he touched in order to show his humanity, because it is not enough for a sinner to be subjected to God with regard to his divinity, but also with respect to his humanity. Again, he touched him in order to manifest the doctrine concerning the power in the sacraments, because both touch and words are required, for when the word is joined to the element, the sacrament comes to be. Bishop Barron writes in relation to verses 5 to 13, the centurion who asked Jesus to heal his servant showed great trust in him. To trust is to have hope, to turn one's heart to God. It means to root one's life to ground and center one's concerns in God. And to trust and to turn one's heart to human beings means to root the whole of one's life to ground and center one's concerns in the things of this world, in wealth, fame, power, honor, or pleasure. What is the center of gravity of your life? What is your ultimate concern? The Bible consistently presents this as an either-or. Think of the passage in the book of Joshua when Joshua lays it on the line for the people of Israel. Put away the foreign gods that are among you and incline your hearts to the Lord. Jesus tells the followers, whoever is not with me is against me. We each have to confront this either-or with great honesty and clarity. And finally, Bishop Barron writes in relation to verses 23 to 27, during the storm, Jesus' disciples cried out to their master in desperation, Lord, save us, we are perishing. This is a De Profundis prayer. It comes from Psalm 130. Out of the depths I cry to you, O Lord. Lord, hear my voice. Let your ears be attentive to the voice of my supplications. It's the prayer offered at the darkest times of life, when we feel utterly incapable of helping ourselves. Perhaps you yourself are in this precise situation. Perhaps your life is sinking, or you're recovering from serious injury or emotional pain, or you've just received some devastating news. Perhaps you find yourself caught in a terrible, unrelenting depression. Maybe you've just lost a loved one, or you're awash in a sea of grief. If that's you, then pray as the disciples did. Awaken someone who can help. Jesus sleeping in the midst of the storm is a very powerful symbol of God's sovereignty over even the darkest and most difficult things and trials that life throws at us. Thanks for listening to this imperfect version of chapter 8 of Matthew's Gospel.